Okay. Here we go. Alright. Had a few technical issues to figure out. We are now ready to go live. So welcome everybody. Still the same list that we had last time. The only thing that I am going to change is I'm going to try out Archon's tech of running sneak attack blue over additional blue stealth cards. So we're going to cut out the Wither and the Malign, and then we're going to bring in sneak attack. And this is just for testing purposes. There's a decent chance I won't like the 2 block on it, and just take that out again. I don't know yet, but I'm willing to give this a try and just see how it works. Switch over to Teleshar. And let's just see what we get. Okay, we got a Kayo. Okay, that's actually pretty decent. So I still think the correct thing into Kayo is to go second for tempo. Yeah, they might have a cast bones if they go first, and then that's kind of bad, but I think overall I just like going second for the tempo basically. We run Scale Peeler, Balance, Tunic, Flick Knives, Black Text, and of course Spider's Bite. And then we do want to run a clean 60 into Kayo, right? So all of the D-reacts go in. My audio's off, like, oh, how off? Like just not at all there, or just off? We do run the sigils, and then I guess we can bring 1 copy of Shred for the late game, and that should about do it. Very staticky and a bit quiet, okay, that's kind of odd. I haven't really changed anything. Hang on, let me figure that out. Shouldn't really be an issue, but okay, Mike. Let me bump up the volume a little bit. I'm gonna go up by a couple of decibels here. Alright, okay, so they're starting out with a Blood Rush actually, okay. I guess they just want to push damage turn 0 if they can. Kinda interesting, let's see. Right, so they get a Might, obviously they draw a couple of cards here. We have a Sigil that's actually kinda bad here. We do have Inertia Trap, which is quite nice, because that means they won't be able to set up an arsenal. And we have a blue stealth card, which is also good, because that way we get to get one of those into the graveyard like ASAP. So I think we are going to leak, unfortunately, a little bit of damage here. And that probably just can't really be prevented, because there's no efficient way to block these. I'm thinking he's probably gonna swing like another attack after this. So I'm willing to block like with 1 card here. And then I'm going to use the Inertia Trap on the next attack. Just to make sure that he doesn't have extra ways to play around. Okay, he's rolling Scabs. Rolled a 3. So it's a Yellow Bear Fangs. Okay, that's coming in for 9. Quite a big number. So he does have an arsenal here, which means the Inertia Trap is live, which is honestly pretty good. So we're gonna do this. And then we run the Inertia Trap out. He gets the inertia, he doesn't get to Arsenal, and then we play the Sigil. And then we take 3, we go down to 38. So we have 2 damage leaked. They didn't get to set up an Arsenal. That's pretty solid, honestly. And we have a looking for a scrap, perfect, okay, which we already have a target for in the graveyard because of their attack. Unfortunately, we do not really have anything to follow it up with. I guess we could go for the shakedown. That's actually not terrible, honestly. We do have to discard the shred, which sucks a little bit, but yeah, I'm willing to do that, like, just hit him running, you know. Pitch the backstab here, banish the infect, just go for 5, and then let's see what it do. Probably not blocking anything here. There would have been a line where I pitch Shred to the looking for a scrap, and then I attack with a dagger, and then that way I actually get to float 2 for the Codex of Frailty. Because if I attack with a dagger now, it doesn't work, right? So this way I have to... I missed 1 damage here. Yeah, I could have hit with a dagger before. Like, I had to pitch the... yellow here, right? Or I attack with the dagger first and then I pitch a yellow, that also works, but yeah, I missed that line, so I think I do have to discard the shred here. There's no way for me to make that clean, unfortunately. Yep. So yeah, it is what it is. Just gonna grab the shakedown, discard the shred. Kinda unfortunate, but you know, that's what you get for not thinking through your lines sometimes, right? So now they're getting something back, which is like not ideal because they have a Wild Ride, right? Or a Bear Fangs, but they will have to discard to that, so it sort of evens out. Kind of depends on what exactly they drew. But honestly, anytime they're not able to get back something like Swing Big, I'm kind of okay with that. He did grab the Wild Ride, makes sense, alright. And I'm okay with this because like the Wild Ride and the Claw that he enables with the Wild Ride is gonna come in for 1 less because of the Frailty, so Frailty is doing like, you know, double duty here. And if I have to flick here to turn this on, it's a little bit annoying. Because he hasn't, you know, used any of his equipment, but I'm honestly fine if it means I'm taking a card here. Okay, so the question is, do I flick to turn the shakedown on? That's actually kind of interesting. Or do I just deal 6, right? I think I flick here. Because I'm not really double daggering in this matchup anyways, and I have Concealed Blade if I really need to. I could use Black Text, but I kind of want to get the block value off of that first, so I am going to flick the Scale Peeler here. Very early use of flick knives, but this used to be actually pretty common back in the Lexi meta, just flick as soon as possible. I am gonna go for blue here, because he did choose the Wild Ride, so he's looking to go a little bit white, and he kind of needs blues to do that. Yep, and we grab the Assault and Battery, now he has like 2 reds. So what he's gonna do is he's going to E-Strike me for 7, and then call it a day. That's it. That's gonna be his play. He's just gonna E-Strike for 7. I have Amnesia here. Not the greatest arsenal against Kayo, to be honest. But it's alright, it's still 6 damage, right? And it does mess with their cast bounce if they're actually using them. So that's coming in for 8, right? Because of the what's it called? The Might token, right? So we're happy to block this with Give and Take. And then we have Concealed Blade, we have Surgical Extraction. So I think we are blocking with the concealed blade and the give and take here, and then we just pitch surgical to CNC, and that's fine. So we just block like this and block like this. I could play out the give and take here, right? So it's the same value whether I block with it or I attack with it, but I think in this particular matchup actually keeping your life total up to some extent, so you can play around stuff like reckless swing in the late game, right? A little bit better. I value the 3 block here more than I value the 3 damage on their side, especially since we already have a pretty decent life lead. So now we are just going to run out the CNC, just like that, and we're good to go. And this is like an easy 2-card block, or he gives me like 2 pieces of equipment and a card. I'm thinking he's probably going to, yeah, just double block this, double clash, okay. Let's see what we have. We have an already dead, they have a mighty wind up, so this is like, it's a draw, we both have 6, so neither of us gets any tokens. And that's just what happens. So this is a bit lucky, obviously, on our part, right? Because they use 2 clashes here, but that's obviously very good for us. So he just blocked that out, that's fine. We've got Infect, we've got double E-Strike and the already dead that we revealed, so we have our blue. We don't need to worry too much about blocking with this because we have the Scale Peeler here, so that's fine. Okay, so it's just a red Bear Fangs. He's just gonna look to play out efficient 2-card hands. That's alright. We do have a Tunic counter coming up, so we could go like Dagger and then clear the arsenal with the Amnesia. And then it kind of depends on what else he allows us to do. Okay, so he's discarding, he's making a Might, he's making a Bear Fangs play here. Interestingly, he did side in like the full 70 cards, so he's kind of scared of us actually fatiguing him, which I guess is like, you know, reasonable in a way. So I think I'm fine blocking with already dead and an E-Strike here, going Dagger, Amnesia, and then setting up the E-Strike in Arsenal for next turn. That seems pretty decent, just because E-Strike generally is a better Arsenal target in this matchup, I think, than the Amnesia. And obviously, like, Amnesia isn't doing a whole lot, and the issue with that is he's not forced to block, right? So he has the Wild Ride in the Arsenal right now. So we're going Dagger with the blue. So there's a chance he's giving us Flashback here, which would be amazing, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah. No, that would have been an absolute misplay if he gave us Flashback here, so we're gonna go Tunic, get that up, and then go Amnesia. So Amnesia doesn't have a ton of relevance into Kayo. Basically the only thing it affects is Cast Bones. And I don't know if he's actually running Cast Bones. He might be, and then if he does have a Cast Bones play lined up, that's actually pretty big, because it completely denies the agility, right? So that's actually pretty decent. But other than that, Amnesia doesn't really do anything into KO, because the things that make the tokens, right, the Might tokens, that's actually his hero ability. So that's not the effect of a card. So he wins that one. He does make a Might token, so just an efficient block here, but because of the Spider's Bite, we're leaking 1 extra. Also pretty decent. He is under the effect of Amnesia, which means he probably doesn't care about the effect, so he doesn't have cast bones right now. We have a hand that blocks for 12, which is nice, and then we can send like Leave No Witnesses, just to threaten the arsenal a little bit, which is pretty decent. He is running out the Wild Ride for 8, discarding CNC, very nice, happy to see that. And so he does have 2 cards left, which means it's probably a Claw Swing, and then maybe another attack, and then depending on what exactly he does, we can, you know, sculpt our hand accordingly. I am blocking, I think, with Surgical and Isolate here. Just because this hand isn't super threatening right now. I would like to keep the Concealed Blade, because I already blocked with one of them. Just so I have a chance of grabbing a dagger back. But I think with this hand it's a little bit unlikely that we get to do this. So let's see, how do we do this? I think we go Isolate. I am keeping the Leave No Witnesses for sure, in case he sets up an arsenal, and if he doesn't, I can play out the E-Strike to draw a card and then reset my arsenal, right? So I think I'm just blocking for... I'm just blocking like this, just blocking for 6, doing some clean blocks. I'm still keeping the black text, because he can play CNC, and then having the option to go balance black text a card to cleanly block that is pretty decent. Yep, he's swinging the claw here. So I'm thinking it's... You are hearing strong white noise. Okay, that's kind of odd, honestly. Okay, yeah. I am blocking this simply because he might not actually attack another time. And I don't want to waste the damage. Actually, if I get to keep the Concealed Blade, that's pretty decent. And I think I'm willing to leak 3 for that. Yeah, okay. Okay, let me check something with the mic. I have an idea what might be the issue. All right, how's that? Is that better in terms of like white noise? Okay, he's sending another Wild Ride. Okay, so we are definitely blocking for 3 here because he doesn't actually have an arsenal right now. And I am blocking with Leave No Witnesses to actually get that into the graveyard here. Perfect now. Okay, so then I know what the problem was, yeah. So the issue was I was trying to set up a cat cam, right? And the issue with that is that apparently one of the cables was creating the feedback. So unfortunately no cat cam for now until I have figured this out. And now I just go E-Strike for 5 to draw a card, reset my arsenal. And just hit him for 5. Clean, efficient play. It's a looking for a scrap, nice. Like to see that in Arsenal. We have Tunic coming up in 2 turns. We do have fodder for it in the form of an Isolate and a Scale Peeler here. So we're set for looking for a scraps. Don't have to worry about those. He's blocking for 3. So he's playing like very slow, mid-rangey, right? He's not looking to do crazy explosive plays generally. We're arsenaling this. 3rd Concealed Blade, give and take, already dead, Leave No Witnesses. Okay, pretty good. We can work with this. There's a couple of lines we can do here. He's rolling scabs, getting rewarded for it. That's unfortunate, honestly. So he starts with the claw for 4. He has 1 floating. I'm thinking he's probably looking to not arsenal here again. So I'm blocking this with the give and take for sure, just to get that out. Because that's a card that I definitely don't need. And now let's see what he does. Okay, it's Tunic and a Swing Big. Alright, gotcha. Okay, so swing big is kind of interesting. Like, we don't really have a good way to capitalize on that right now, but that does mean he's setting up an Arsenal play, right? So what I am going to do is I am going to block with the already dead, and then I am going to Spider's Bite. Actually, Spider's Bite doesn't do a whole lot here. Because the problem with Spider's Bite is, right? Yeah, no, actually, that's pretty good, actually, yeah. Because that means it's like, it's still a 2-card block. He can still give me equipment and a card, and then that shuts down the Leave No Witnesses, right? And if he does that, the Conceal Blade also doesn't do anything. That's kind of the issue here. So I am blocking this with the already dead. Taking 5 down to 20. Yeah, I think I'm still sitting on that. I'm still sitting on these. I don't need to spend those yet. All right. So one issue if I start with looking for a scrap here, right, is that he can give me flashback. And that would suck because that hits my Leave No Witnesses and that's my follow-up for the turn, right? I do have a couple of clean lines here. The problem is he can't clean block this Leave No Witnesses anyways. So he's probably going to give me Apex and Scabs, or maybe, yeah, he can just give me Apex and Scabs. He can give me Apex and a card, Scabs and a card. There's a bunch of options that he has to play around this. And if I start with the looking for a scrap, he most likely gives me flashback. But Leave No Witnesses is not the worst card to have in Arsenal. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that, honestly. All right, let's grab the Scale Peeler, and then let's see what he does. So he sees I have 2 floating, so he has to be scared of something like CNC here, right? Or Shakedown, couple of options. Or a Codex, and then CNC. And I think he recognizes that, and that's why he's gonna give me flashback here. Which is okay, because Leave No Witnesses is kind of, it's okay, but there's definitely more threatening things I could have as a follow-up to this. So it's kind of okay if he gives me flashback here instead of like on another turn. Yeah, he's tanking on that block. Definitely thinking about flashback. Yep, there it is. Probably no other blocks on this, I would imagine. And then it's just Spider's Bite, Arsenal to Leave No Witnesses. Problem is he has a 5-card hand, so if he has a Blood Rush right now, it's looking a little bit grim, to be honest. Yep, it's just a flashback. Sure. And then it's just Spider's Bite, and he's just fine with that. He's just going to take that damage, go down to 17, not care. And we are arsenaling this card. Okay, so we got double sensor, sink below, and a surgical. I mean, it's fine. This hand blocks pretty well. He's swinging for 3, which means he's looking to discard a wind-up here. Let's see, what does this hand do? I mean, if all else fails, we can just, you know, play the Leave No Witnesses, and we block 13 on this hand. That's not the worst. So I'm gonna block with the sensor here, just because I have 2 of these. Definitely don't need that.
Yep, there's the agile windup, making the tokens. Sure. That's to be expected. And a smash instinct. Okay, that's actually kind of annoying because there's a decent chance he intimidates the sink below here. And either way, we don't get to sink. So he intimidates the sensor. That's not the worst, I guess. He does keep an arsenal here. And we do get to block 7. Do we want to block 7? Or does this hand do more if I get to keep a card? Kinda doesn't, to be honest. Nah, not really. Okay. Just clean blocking this. All right. Okay. I am kind of getting scared of a blood rush here. A little bit. Because we've only seen the one and he's down like 30 cards by now and he hasn't seen another one. I could play out the leave no. And that's like a really easy block for him. That's kind of the issue. Or I play out the sensor, which kind of runs into the same problem just because it's like, you know, 1 card plus equipment and then I don't get anything. So I think I'm going to go with the leave no and then arsenal the sensor. But this is for sure 2-card block. Just giving me like probably Apex and a card just to get another my token. Oh, okay. He's just... Okay, that's actually alright for me. Because that means he gets less value off of the Apex. It's not terrible. Alright. This is like an unfortunate hand if he does anything big, but he's just sending a sandpacking for 7, okay? Alright, I guess. I mean, this is fine. I just block 7. It does have go again, that's kind of annoying. So yeah, I just go like this. Backstab, infect, just block 7. Fine by me. Get the sensor back into hand. Kind of okay, because now I can block with it, but then my turn just doesn't really do anything except Arsenal Death Touch. Let's see what he does. Okay, it's E-Strike for 7, I assume. It's E-Strike Go again. Oh, okay, he's following that up with a Cast Bones. This is a Cast Bones 100%. Okay, that's kind of annoying, actually. But that does mean I do want to keep the sensor. Because I can go Tunic, Sensor, and I kind of know what he's going to get because of the Cast Bones. So I think I just have to take 5 here. Just go down to 15, yeah. I could block with Balance here, simply because the most threatening thing is CNC. And CNC plus 1 card doesn't work for me in this matchup because I can't use D-reacts on it. So now all this does is maybe allow me to clean block something like another sandpacking. I'm fine going down to 15 though, like that's not horrible, I think. And this is 100% Cast Bones. Yep, there we go. Okay, let's see. We got Wild Ride, Riled Up, Bearfangs, Clash of Might, and what was the last one? E-Strike. So he does get the full 6. If we hit with the sensor, we're naming Wild Ride, because the chance that he has one of these is pretty high. He's drawing a random 4 cards here. I'm kind of tempted to name E-Strike, just because that's kind of like the best value for him if he chooses draw a card. Or maybe Bearfangs, just because it's the biggest hit. But and he already has the go again with the agility, right? And the wild rides are kind of like his pitch cards. I don't know, let's see. We are going to use Tunic here and then just run out the sensor just like that. And because he already used these two to block, right, he doesn't have a way to clean block this. So if he wants to block it, he needs to give us 2 cards. And I don't think that's going to happen. Or a card and both of his equipment pieces, which is like an outcome I'm fine with, to be honest. Yep, he's just letting that hit. Right, so now this is actually interesting. So Wild Ride is like the safest hit right now, right? He revealed 2 Wild Rides. The chance that he has one of those in hand is like almost guaranteed. The issue is the only resource card he has otherwise is the Riled Up. He does have Barefang's, Clash of Might, or Enlightened Strike. So the chance he has one of those 3 in hand is 100%. The question is just which one of them. And what do I want to hit, right? I think the biggest impact play he can make with this hand is probably Barefang's. The Wild Ride is kind of like the safest hit, but he has Tunic coming up, so he can play Wild Ride even off a red, but he already has the go again, so he's trying to look for something else. I think I am naming Barefangs here. It's a little bit of a gamble, but I think the Wild Ride is sort of like the least impactful thing he can play out. So I'm going with the Barefangs. E-Strike is also kind of annoying, but it's sort of inefficient for him unless he has all red. So we're going with Barefangs. We're playing out the Sigil, go back to 18, and then we Arsenal the Death Touch. Okay, let's see. I'm really curious if I actually manage to hit that. That would be interesting. Let's see. We do have another hand that just blocks for, you know, a lot, so that's fine. Ideally, if we get to keep this blue, we can go Spider Spite, Death Touch. Or if he wants to set up an arsenal, we can go like Spider Spite, Leave No Witnesses. Also pretty decent. Less pitch efficient though. Okay, he is playing the Wild Ride, pitching another Wild Ride, alright. So, and he discarded a red Barefangs. I am pretty sure he had that in hand. And he just drew and discarded the red Barefangs. So, yeah, I'm okay with this outcome. Like, this is 3 value less than he would have gotten off the Barefangs, and he had to go again anyways, right? So, kind of the same thing. I am okay with this. I do think I have to block a whole bunch here, though. So we are definitely blocking this with Amnesia, and he can swing a Claw here and then Arsenal. If he did have a blue, he would have pitched that, so he has like 2 reds left in hand right now, probably E-Strike and something else. And he might go like E-Strike, draw a card to reset the Arsenal here. So I think I am blocking. If I block with Leave No Witnesses, I'm kind of like telegraphing that I don't have an Arsenal threat right now. It's kind of tricky, honestly. And I kind of need to. I can afford to go down to 13. Keep my options open. I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with this. Yep. Yep, it's E-Strike. Probably. Okay, he's just sending the E-Strike for 7. Doesn't want the Arsenal, that's fair, so I know how to block now. I think I'm blocking this with Balance and Leave Node just to preserve a bunch of life. Go to 11. Seems fine. Yep. That's all right. So if I had named E-Strike, it would have been also fine, but I think naming Bear Fangs was the correct choice here. Okay, so we go Spider's Bite. One thing that's kind of annoying for me right now is that I haven't seen a lot of my 2-blocks, and I know they're gonna come up. And we're getting to the life totals where drawing 2-blocks is kind of annoying. He does have to respect this though. Like this is probably, I'm choosing Blood Rot here. If he lets this hit, and that puts him to 3, which is scary against Assassin. He does not care. Okay. All right, mate. Sure. So he thinks he can kill me with his next turn, which means he probably has a Blood Rush. Okay, we have a hand that blocks very well. I'm fine with this. Yep, there's the Blood Rush. All right, he does have the blue. Discards another blue. That's actually kind of okay, because it means that he doesn't have another resource card to do something with. And that's the Claw coming in for 6. I'm cracking balance here just to draw a card. Okay, it's another 3-block. Okay, so we have a hand that just blocks. Very nice. We can go CNC, we can go Shakedown. Depends what he actually draws back up. I think I am starting this with the E-Strike because I definitely have to block on this turn a whole bunch. And then I think I'm going to... I'm going to block with the Fate Foreseen because I've only seen one CNC out of him. And there's a chance that he's going to play a CNC, and then I don't want to be, you know, locked into having a D-React that I can't use. So I'm just going to block with the Fate Foreseen here. It's a Shakedown on top. That's not bad, actually. Allows him to keep up the Disruption train. So we keep that on top. Take 2, go down a 9. Oh, he's rolling Scabs. Okay. Yes, it's a 3. Very nice. So that means he probably will set up an Arsenal. Okay, it's a Bear Fangs. Yep. Discarding Clash of Agility. Okay, so that is coming in for 10. I am fine blocking 6 on this, taking 4, going to 5 seems okay. He might pitch whatever he has to the Blood Rot to avoid the Arsenal. So I think I'm going to go with Shakedown here, just because CNC isn't a guaranteed disruption and Shakedown is. If I send it off the backstab, he has to respect that. So I'm blocking like this, taking 4. And then there's a chance he just straight up does an Arsenal, or he's pitching to the Blood Rot just to prevent another 2. Yep, there we go. He's pitching to Blood Rot. That makes total sense. So yeah, we're just sending out this backstab. And just... if you don't block, you're dead. So let's see what he does. I could totally see him just putting down 2 cards on this. Just... snap blocking 6. Reasonable decision. We do have a Codex coming up for sure, which is kind of nice because we only have Tunic coming up and we've only seen the 1. So there should be a Codex turn coming up pretty soon. Let's see what he does. That's 1 card. He might just block for 4. He's blocking for 6. All right. Okay, okay. So the question is, do I Arsenal Shakedown here? Because if I draw a Codex, the Shakedown in Arsenal is really awkward. And I need to be able to play that Codex. But if I don't Arsenal the Shakedown, I could send it out just to send it out, you know? Just to get it out of hand. and draw an extra card, because I know we have a shakedown on top. Or I arsenal the shakedown. Actually, I think it's probably fine to arsenal it. I don't know. I think I'm switching this in. I think I'm switching this in case I draw a Codex, yeah. I don't want Shakedown and Arsenal right now. It's too risky. Yeah, that's the first game. Just, you know, testing out some stuff. Probably not going to play too many games today, just because it's kind of already getting late and I'm a bit tired. Probably just playing another one after this. So he might, if he has a Cast Bones here and he can just take an off turn, that is huge for him. Okay, also fine. He's rolling Scabs. Oh, he's never getting punished for that, man. That is really annoying. But there's nothing he can... Oh, alright. He does have a Cast Bones. Okay, yeah. So he's coming in for 4. He does have a Cast Bones. He just wanted to play that out. Okay. I think we still have to block this with the Inertia Trap and then just go looking for a Scrap into Shakedown. And, yeah. Yep, not much I can do about that. There's nothing he can play with 1 that's actually threatening damage to me. He just did this in order to get an extra 4 damage out because he doesn't want Pack Call in Arsenal, right? It's a really bad Arsenal for him. So he does have a Cast Bones here. He's not going to care about the Inertia because, you know, he has a Cast Bones. Oh, actually he can do Tunic and then... Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, that's true. He can just do that. So that's an issue. That is an issue. Yeah. Bit less of an issue than the Cast Bones would have been, to be honest. But I am forced to just give him everything here. I can't keep a card, because if I'm leaking 2, I'm in Reckless range. I would like to Arsenal this looking for a Scrap here. But actually, can I play around Reckless here? I haven't seen him pitch a Reckless the entire game. That doesn't mean he doesn't have it, because he did run 70 cards, and we're definitely not in his pitch stack yet. Do I play around Reckless here? Do I Arsenal this looking for... Because looking for a Scrap right now, if I draw a blue, would be fantastic. If I draw a blue and a Codex, this looking for a Scrap would be huge. I think I'm blocking with Tunic here, keeping the looking for a Scrap. Or I could even play it out just to threaten lethal. Also an option, just to stop him from keeping a 5-card hand. But then I also go down to... I think I'm doing this, I think. Let him have another 4-card hand. Go down to 3. Yeah, maybe. Probably true, yeah. Should have arsenaled that Shakedown. I was trying to play around something, right? But yeah, I guess you're probably right. Hello? No, I don't want to skip Arsenal. What the hell? Huh? Where did my card just go? What is this? Okay, it's an Arsenal now. I don't know what the hell that was. Very weird. What? Wait, what just happened? Okay, so I already saw my next hand and now it rewound to the... Okay, whatever is going on here. I don't know what the hell that was. Very strange. Okay, so we go like this and then like this. We do the same blocks. And I guess the game just kind of bugged out. I don't know what that was. Okay, so we pass. Go end a turn. We Arsenal. There we go. Okay, that's fine. All right. We don't have the blue. That's really unfortunate here for this Codex. And he... Oh, God. He has a Blood Rush and he discards a Beast Within? Really? Okay, yeah. He's just... Yeah. Okay, we're dead. That's it. GG. That is unfortunately it. Alright, KO. KO, KO. Just going in for 9. And he has the Wild Ride with Go again. Oh my god. Yeah, alright. I guess I'm blocking with everything, huh? I'm not even efficiently blocking this. I guess I can do... I mean, let's be realistic here. I'm dead this turn anyways. Like, doesn't really matter. Oh, wait. That was stupid of me, but... sorry, I need to block here. Otherwise, I'm dead. So I block with Sensor. And the Fate Foreseen go down to 1. At this point, I can't afford to play around Reckless anymore, so... sure, leave the Sink on top. I probably need to block some more. And it's a swing big. Okay. Yeah, GG's. Alright. Yeah. Honestly, like, the KO matchup feels rough. But yeah, I should have Arsenaled that shakedown, that's true. I don't think I could afford to let that go. Average value per turn 14 is honestly solid, but his was just better, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, he was sitting at 15.4. I was sitting at 14, so just slightly under actually, which is pretty decent considering I'm Uzuri and he's KO. But unfortunately, that's just how KO gets you, right? Like, they just outvalue us, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that. And then they have Flashback, which is just massive. It's such a tempo loss. And you have ways to play around Flashback, but it doesn't always line up well, right? So, yeah. Alright, just straight into the next one. And then let's see what we get here. But yeah, totally. Like, one takeaway from this, I should have played the Shakedown. Ah, okay. We get to see if our Kano tech works. Let's see, that's actually interesting. So we go in Nerf Scalpel Orbitoclast. We go Nullrune Hood, and we go Spellfray Cloak. And then our sideboard is all of the shreds, all of the codexes, the oasis, the sigils, the pummel, and then unfortunately we do have to run one D-React, just because that's the way our sideboard is set up. We have too many equipment cards to not run the D-Reacts. So we go with one Sink Below. Realistically, it doesn't matter which one you choose, but yeah, let's see if this works. Good luck, have fun. Yes, thank you. He is letting us go first, which is interesting. Like, my understanding was that Kano wants to go first for the most part in this matchup, or generally in like the majority of matchups, really. Okay, so we are going to Dagger here with the Codex, because that's not doing a whole lot for us. And I think what I do is that's actually a good question. So the issue right now is that I don't have an arsenal if I play out any of these, and they don't really matter. And I definitely want that E-Strike in Arsenal, right? Because right now he can just, you know, just block. And any cards he has left, he's gonna use to Kano. And I do want to pressure him with the E-Strike. So I think I just... Like, this hand is honestly a bit awkward. I think I just pass here. and arsenal the E-Strike. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I could dagger again with the Nerf Scalpel. But then he knows he's free to Kano with whatever. And this way, if he Kanos and hits anything, I can pitch one of the reds. So I think I'm just passing here. I also don't allow him to filter this way, right? Like, if I attack him more, he gets to filter. He can just block with bad cards, draw good cards, and then start his stack. So what he's doing now is probably Kanoing with all of the blues he has left. Actually, he doesn't. Okay, that's interesting. So we're arsenaling this. Looking for a scrap is alright. We can go E-Strike. Okay, he's pitching the tomes, starting... Alright, okay, so he's on more of like an aggressive plan, I guess. Ether Flare is the one that does more damage, so... Yeah, I'm pitching the already dead here. And then my game plan is... Actually, am I pitching? Because unless he finds something off the top, this doesn't do anything. And I kind of want to set up the looking for a scrap in Arsenal. So my plan would be E-Strike, bottom the already dead, send the CNC. If he does Arsenal something. So I don't think I'm pitching for this. I'm just letting that hit. That's 4. And unless he Kanos and hits into something good, this doesn't really do anything. He is Kanoing. But that's like just rolling the dice, right? If I lose to that, yeah, it sucks. Alright, whatever, but... Okay, so he has another Ether Flare. Sure, of course. This is now coming in for what? 7, right? Ridiculous. Alright, sure, whatever. God, I hate this matchup. Alright, so we're going E-Strike, sink this, go again. And he is not blocking this. Okay, okay, so this, I think what this Kano is doing is a strategy called psycho flipping. Were pioneered by We Make Best, or at least I think they coined that term, right? So what he's doing right now is he just... Ah, no, he does have to sink. Okay, I'm using the Nerf Scalpel here. Not because this has an on-hit that I care about, but simply because that way I get 2 damage off of the Nerf Scalpel. And I want to get the Nerf Scalpel into Graveyard anyways for looking for a scrap on the next turn. So this is just getting value basically, right? Just use it on the first D-React that you see, and then that's it. And obviously he doesn't have an arsenal right now, so the CNC is kind of like textless unless he has more D-Reacts in hand. But it's just damage, right? So... Yep, okay, he's just taking that. He doesn't care, right? I am arsenaling the looking for a scrap. Alright, we've got blue. We've got a Codex of Bloodrot. Honestly, not too bad. He's just flipping. Flips into a blazing, alright. And he has another ether. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god, okay. So this is Ether Flare for 4, right? Which means that if I don't pitch to this, I just kind of die, which is unfortunate. So I think I'm pitching the Shred here. This could honestly be worth spending the Spellfray Cloak on. It's probably better to sit on that until he does a Wildfire, but this is already like a lot of damage. So this is like 3 that I'm taking, and then another 3. So I take 5 again off of the Blazing. He's getting extremely lucky with his flips here. I'm not using the Spell Void yet, but I don't think it matters. I lose this game. Like 99.9% I lose this game just because he got absolutely insane early flips. So yeah, great. We're at life parity. Like, what is this? All he has to do is find a wildfire and I'm dead. That's it. Like, the only thing he has to do. If he finds a wildfire, I just die here. Alright, so we are going Codex. The thing is, I'm not even drawing badly, right? I'm drawing all of my extenders extremely early. That's exactly where you want to see them against Kano. He just has absolutely insane draw luck. Banishing this, right? Coming in with the... I do have Oasis, that's true, yeah. If I manage to draw it. I mean, to be fair, I made it to turn 3. So in a sense, Tom, I'm already doing better than you. Sorry. You know I love you. But yeah, like unless I manage to draw an Oasis in like 1 or 2 turns, I don't think I have more than that until he finds his first wildfire. And he doesn't really need anything else to kill me other than a wildfire and like 1 or 2 random spells. Like generally fine, just because it's 6 damage, right? Like obviously I like to see it if it does have text on it other than just 6 vanilla. But I'm not, you know, hating it necessarily. It's fine. Blue in Ars. This is like, I don't even know I want to Arsenal this here. I mean, I guess I'm going to just because it's a card that he has to respect, but... Okay, he's just playing out the tome, drawing 2. Kanoing a bunch, doing some stupid stuff. Finding a blue ether flare, alright. I mean, we can AB that at least, to some extent. He's using Crucible, of course, so we can't. He's pitching a red, so he probably doesn't have more blues at least. That's something, I guess. I am still pitching to this, so I have Death Touch, I have Backstab here, I have a Codex of Frailty, which I can't really get out of my arsenal right now. Because I have this blue stuck in there, so I might as well pitch the Codex, I think. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yep. Okay, that's it. He just ends the turn. All right. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we do have some form of arsenal threat here. So I think I'm gonna Orbitoclast into Leave No. It doesn't do anything, right? Yeah, that doesn't do anything at all, actually. I think I'm just gonna send out the Surgical and then Arsenal the Death Touch for next turn. Yeah, and the Orbitoclast doesn't really do anything, because if he wants to fully block this, it's a 2-card block. And if he has a D-React, like, you know, he has a D-React, that's it. Not much I can do about that anyways, so, yeah. I don't think I would Arsenal the CNC in that specific situation, just because I need to threaten as much damage as I can, as fast as I can, in order to even have a chance at winning this matchup. You can't play cute, right? That's kind of the thing. So I think he has a... What is he doing? He might have a D-react. He might play around a shred here, actually. Maybe he's playing around shred. Interesting. Because there's no way he's letting this hit for 1, right? When I can take a card off of him. Okay, Tunic. Oasis, I guess? Maybe? Ah, yeah. So Aces in Arsenal, actually. Okay, that's kind of interesting, huh? I don't know why he plays it like this, to be honest. Because there's nothing I can do to play around Oasis. Shred doesn't work against Oasis, so I'm not sure what that play was. But alright, I guess. Do Arsenal the Death Touch here, of course. Okay, Ether Spindle was the one that lets him opt, right? Yeah, that's also bad. He's probably not Kanoing with anything else, and the issue I have right now is I can't use this looking for a scrap because I don't have another dagger or anything else in there. So I think I am just going to pitch away the looking for a scrap and then just go dagger into Death Touch. Probably Conceal Blade, bring in another dagger. Seems decent. And then if that hits, I'm gonna leave no witnesses to blow up the arsenal. Yep. Just preventing 1, not allowing him the opt, or at least not as deep. So the issue is, if he has a wildfire now, I'm dead, right? And the chance that he finds one in the top 4 cards of his deck is like pretty decent. Yep, alright, sure. Okay, he's not arsenaling anything. He's setting up a E-Pot. Okay, alright, that's actually not too bad. I can work with that. So I just go Orbitoclast. Okay, he's just letting that hit. Alright, sure. Activate Black Text. I'm holding on to that blue for now, right? I do think I give him Bloodrot here because he's going to be pretty low in life. And I don't think the inertia matters. Actually, inertia might matter because if he survives this turn, then he arsenals and then he's trying to kill me. I actually think inertia matters a bit more here because he can just pitch to Bloodrot and he's running so many blues. I think inertia is actually the better option here. He might just plan on killing me right now, but I don't know. Yeah, let's see. Might not have been correct. I am sending out the leave node. There's a chance he can kill me with 4 cards, but it's like if I'm holding a blue and I still have Spellfray Cloak, I'm probably still dead at 16 if he has 4 cards, but ideally he wants to have like Storm Striders for that, right? I am threatening lethal here because of the Flick Knives. So is he firing off or is he blocking this? He's blocking that with Tunic. And that's it. Okay. He's not blocking with anything else, so there's a chance I can actually kill him. Unless he combos off and kills me. I'm willing to do that. I don't think he wants to combo me right now. Otherwise he would have done so already. I don't know, let's see. He might combo off now just to see what happens, but... yeah, alright, he's comboing. Let's see what happens. Crucible, sure. Alright. Nothing I can do about that. He does have the wildfire, okay, sure. He does have the Metacarpus, he uses Ragamuffins, obviously. If I'm lucky, he doesn't draw into another blue. Why not flick and hold the blue? Because he's not dead if I flick. If I flick, he's at 0. He's at 1, actually. He would take 3 from the leaf now. Flick puts him at 4, and then he's at 1. So I was kind of banking on the fact that he doesn't have, like, the combo right now. Which obviously he does, but, you know. Yeah, so he uses E-Pot, sure, whatever. He does have the E-Pot, that's kind of unfortunate. So he can Kano here again. So he probably even gets a 3 card off. Don't tell me he has a... oh, he has Blazy. He has the perfect combo. Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm dead. Whatever. Fuck it. The thing is, I think with that combo, I am dead even through... even if I had the blue. Because right now he's threatening 6 on the wildfire. And then 12 on the blazing, right? Which is 18. Actually, yeah, the blue would have made a big difference there, yeah. If he doesn't have a 3rd spell, that actually would have made a pretty big difference. I can't pitch to Arcane Barrier. I will use Spell Void, of course, just because that shaves off 5 damage off of his turn. Yeah, alright, allow him to undo. Fine, let's see what happens. Blazing, yeah, alright. He had a yellow, okay, right. So he's pumping that up by 1 more. Oh, it's exactly lethal, oh my god. Choose an amount to pitch to Arcane Barrier. Wow, he just got me, okay. Alright, close one. So yeah, if I had held that blue, put him to 1, would have been better. Okay, we know that for next time, I guess. Interesting. Actually, I put him to 2. That's kind of the issue, right? And then on 2, what can you do to me? Really close, actually, yeah. Hang on. Let's see if he's up for a rematch, actually. I want to test this a little bit. This is kind of interesting. See if he's still here. I mean, GNT let me down, like, in what way? Like, I mean, yeah, it's not a great card. It's an, yeah, bigger number threat. Like, okay, what bigger number threat can I run in that slot? Like, what can I run in the GNT slot that actually presents a bigger number than... I mean, obviously, sure, it could have been another card, like Sensor, that just hits for something other than 3. That's true, yeah. Like, if it didn't need to be an extender in that spot. Okay, he has to go. All right, that's fair. Okay, but yeah, like, I mean, that was actually kind of close. And I think I should have, if I had just held on to the blue, it would have been fine. because then I could have prevented another, hang on, what would that have been? 1 on that one, and then another 5. So I could have prevented another 6 with the blue, which is pretty good, because he didn't have a third spell, right? He had to do like a 2-card combo, basically. So just Wildfire into Blazing, because he didn't find a third spell, or he didn't have the cards to find a third spell, basically. Is Hurl not better than G&T? I mean, it depends what you want out of the card, right? Like, G&T has basically 2 advantages over Hurl. First advantage is it blocks 3. That's a pretty obvious one. Second advantage of G&T over Hurl is you can loop Guardians in a late game with it. And that actually does come up sometimes against like these defensive Guardian decks. If you just you keep pitching or bottoming with your Sings, with your E-Strikes, right? You keep sending those G&Ts to the bottom. And then once your opponent is on like 4 or 5, they actually have to start blocking G&T, and then you can just loop them with it. So you attack with a G&T, they block it with an action card because you're in like 2nd or 3rd cycle and they don't have any more D-reacts. And then you just put a G&T back on top, or you put a Codex of Frailty back on top, and then you just keep doing that every single turn. And then eventually you just find a hand that kills them because you generate so much advantage through the loop. So the advantage that Hurl has over G&T, right? Obviously it blocks, it costs 0. That's pretty big. It's an assassin attack, which does come up sometimes. It can be relevant, right? Because you can use like Shred on it, you can use Conceal Blade on it, and nobody's blocking Hurls, right? Nobody blocks Hurl for 3. So it's like the perfect card to use Conceal Blade on, right? Even if they block it with a single card, you go over the top and then you get your dagger back if that's all you want to do, right? And then the third one is the text on Hurl, obviously, which is like very, very occasionally relevant, but I have killed somebody in the past after blocking with flicks, right? I blocked with flick knives. They thought they can go to 1 now because they're safe from the flick. And then you use Codex of Frailty to bring back a Hurl, and then you kill him with the text. But that's like, I don't know, 1 game in 100 maybe that's actually relevant text, right? For the most part, Hurl is just a head jab that's assassin tagged, right? Which is pretty decent. Like, I can see running Hurl over G&T if you're like not worried about the Guardian matchup and you want to have something that's a little more low to the ground, right? That where you don't want to spend a resource. My deck is on 17 blues, so I'm fine running cards that have a slightly higher cost, right? Just because I do have enough blues to pay for them usually. So it's kind of okay. All right, I think I'm going to do one last game and then I'm going to tag out for the night. So let's see what else we got. So I'm actually kind of positively surprised by the Kano matchup. Like, I lost it, obviously, but he did have insane early flips. Those were extremely good. And I made a misplay towards the end where I should have held onto the blue instead of playing it. Okay, we are up against a Viserai. Would you like to go first or second? The answer to that question is very dependent on what kind of list they play. If it's like the standard aggressive Viserai list, I think I want to go second. If it's the setup one, I want to go also second because then it's tempo. I just go second here, I think. Sure, they can do some setup and stuff, but I think it's fine. We do run our 1 piece of Null Rune here. I do like to run Spider's Bite and Nerve Scalpel, because they typically do run some number of D-reacts. Scale Peeler is also reasonable. Runeblades have a lot of armor these days. I am running, let's see, what do I run against this deck? I think I need to sideboard for the one that's like the worst option for me, which is like the one that tries to stack a bunch of rune chants, right? And then I need these extenders. I do also want to respect the other one though, to be honest. So I am bringing my D-reacts. I'm not bringing inertia trap, I think. Because they don't tend to run a ton of pumps. I don't think they're on Shrill anymore these days. I am bringing your aces because this is like an arcane damage matchup, so this is fine. And I think I am bringing one copy of Shred. That seems okay. Actually, I think I'm bringing all of the Shreds. And I am taking out some of the, like, the 2 G&Ts because they're just kind of sad in this matchup. And then just for the heck of it, I'm bringing the Pummel. And that seems okay. We go up to 61. That's honestly fine. Yep, let's go. Okay, yeah, all right. So equipment tells me, obviously they're on the stack rune chance all day plan because they bring Scepter. I don't know why they're on Iron Rod legs. They could just run Spell Void Creepers. And that would be fine because they do the same thing. It's Blade Rake 1, so fair enough. They are on Carapace, Grasp, Crown of Providence. All right. So yeah, definitely very defensive list. They are probably just stacking Rune Chance into me. So yeah, this hand is actually pretty good. We have Codex of Bloodrot. We can use that to get Death Touch into the arsenal. And then depending on what exactly they do turn 0, we get to do something with the rest of our cards. If they just pass here, or they just do like some setup, use Grasp of the Arknight, maybe play out something like, I don't know, like a Rita Runes or something. This is a fine hand to clap back with, I think. It's not ideal because we can't really use the Ponder from the Codex here. But it does draw us an extra card and let us decide what exactly we want in our arsenal. So it's not terrible, I would say. Is he actually there? All right, let's wait a couple of minutes, give him the benefit of the doubt, and then if he's not doing anything, we claim victory. You know, up the rates a little bit. One thing I'm kind of like annoyed with is my Kayo matchup. I really don't have a terribly good Kayo matchup. If you think back to the game that we had earlier, right? I mean, I did the misplay of like not arsenaling the shakedown, and that could have been relevant, but I didn't feel like that was a particular high roll on the part of the KO, right? He got to play like, well, he did get to resolve. No, he just played one cast bones for like max value. That's kind of to be expected. He did resolve like 2 blood rushes that were just okay. The first one we leaked 2 damage. The second one, you know, we took a bunch of damage, but it was okay. So the blood rushes were fine. 1 cast bones is okay. He didn't whiff on anything, but overall I think that game went just okay. Like just what you can expect a KO to kind of do without, you know, high or low rolling or anything. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out what I can do to make that matchup better, because like I do think KO is going to be like one of the most represented decks at any ProQuest that you go to still. Like probably not the top dog, but I would not be surprised to see like, I don't know, at like a 40 to 50 person ProQuest or something, I would not be surprised to see like 5 to 10 KOs, right? We're gonna claim victory here. He's clearly not there, and I think this is a matchup that doesn't give you a whole lot of like a whole lot of like room to test stuff with, right? Just because I don't think this is a deck that you're going to see a lot in the wild. For the record, he would have an absolutely amazing turn 0 though for setup, right? He can pitch to Grasp, make a Rune Chant, then he can play Sonata for X equals 2, pitching the other blue, finding something like, I don't know, any kind of setup card that has Go Again. Or even doesn't have to have Go Again, right? So he can grab something like Blessing of the Occult or something, and then play the Read the Runes. So he starts on something like 7 Rune Chants on turn 0, which is amazing for him. So yeah, not sad that I don't have to play that, because I don't think our deck is very good into that. I think actually Uzuri is very bad into like the Rune Chant stacking, defensive, grindy kind of OTK Viserai. I know. Yeah. Sagan is back again. I shall pay the cat tax if my Wi-Fi webcam lets me. Kinda doesn't. Here's my cat. Enjoy. Well, you do get his tail. I guess that's something. Yeah, I think honestly the OTK Viserai matchup is just kind of cursed. It's the same issue that we have into like Illusionist or Takla, right? Where we just don't output enough damage to threaten lethal on them before they assemble whatever their combo is. Rhinar, I am definitely going first into Rhinar just because the Intimidates allow him to leak damage. So here we run, they do typically run a couple of D-Reacts. But I think, and they usually run Tunic, so Scale Peter gets like medium amounts of value. I think I'm running with Nerf Scalpel here, and then otherwise this seems fine. We do want our D-Reacts in this matchup. We do want the Sigils, of course, because they're just good. And I think we want maybe a little bit more extenders than we would typically run. Just because it's a Rhinar. Actually, Rhinar can run these like weird-ish fatigue lists. So I think I'm just gonna go to 65. And then just see what happens. Might run the Pummel. I think I'm gonna run the Pummel, why not? They can be on these like kind of strange grindy lists. Okay, this one is on Meat Axe and Beaten Trackers. I don't think I've seen that list before. That is definitely interesting. So yeah, this hand kind of sucks. So I think what we're gonna do here is just run out the Already Dead. He's not trying to fatigue us. He plays a clean 60. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this out, pitch these to Arsenal the CNC. That seems like a decent plan. Can work with that. And I'm holding a card, so he's kind of like, you know, okay, giving me 2, sure, makes sense. He gets to cycle a little bit. Neither of these are like particularly good cards for him. So he's just trying to find some stuff. We want this on top. We Arsenal that. Okay, that seems fine. We have a sink. We have a good blocking hand, very solid. Okay, so he's playing the very aggressive type of Rhinar list that just intimidates a bunch by using the draw discard cards. Okay, sure. Arsenaling a Massacre. This is fine because it's not the cost of a Brute Attack action card, so we don't get double intimidated here. Now watch it take the sink below. Now I took the sensor. Okay, that's actually reasonable. Okay, so we will have to block with something else. He's at minimum sending probably the meat axe here. Just to intimidate a little bit. I think the problem is I kind of need this blue to do anything. So I will have to block with the... I think I have to overblock for 7 here. Yeah. I think I have to overblock, and then he comes in with the meat axe, probably for 5 again, and I just take 5. Because I need to keep this blue in order to play out the CNC. So I'm just going to block like this. And then we sink. And then we pass. A little bit inefficient, but it's fine. Yep, it's meat axe. Oh, he's double pitching. Okay, so okay, that's actually a little bit interesting. So that's coming in for 5. We're leaking 5. Nothing we can do about that because he's intimidating us. Wait, he's intimidating us again. Okay, so we leak 5. Kind of annoying, but not much you can do about that. We could actually crack balance here, but our hand doesn't really need it. So I think I'm okay with that. Like, nothing I could draw here makes this hand like terribly better. The fact that he doesn't have an arsenal right now means I'm not playing out the CNC. I'm just gonna go Spider's Bite into Sensor. Okay, he's just letting that hit, and then we run out the sensor. So if this hits, there's a couple of things I could name. I know sort of what game plan he's on, so Wild Ride is a pretty good call, but he's already played one of these. I think his game plan hinges on being able to find sources of go again, and then attack with meat axe. That's kind of like what he's trying to do, right? It's just making these efficient 3-card plays, essentially. For like 11 to 12 damage. With evasion, because he does run, obviously, intimidate, right? So I think if this hits, I am naming probably Pulping. Could be a good call. Swing Big is also always a solid call against Brute. He's running Dig Up Dinner. This is a kind of strange list, honestly. He has a 3-card hand. He might just play out like a Swing Big to set something up. I think I am calling Pulping here. Because he knows I don't have a direct in Arsenal. If I had a direct in Arsenal, I would have probably used that on the meat axe last turn. Updates on the Sagan. Yeah, hang on. He's just chilling here. I don't know if you can see him. I have this like filter on my camera. It's a little bit unfortunate because it kind of just blurs out stuff. There you go. You got one head of a cat. I did try to set up a cat cam, and unfortunately that ran a whole bunch of interference with my mic, so that was really choppy. Okay, he's playing Sense Sketched Plan. He's discarding Wild Ride. That's probably what he grabbed, so that's kind of unfortunate for him. He does get the 2 AP though. But I don't think he can do a whole lot with that because he only has 2 cards left. He does intimidate me, of course, but it's a give and take. It's like, not great. Okay, so he's just coming in with the meat axe here. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fade this. And on my turn, play the Codex of Bloodrot, play the CNC, and then arsenal the Death Touch. I will have to use Tunic for that, obviously, but that's honestly okay. I'm gonna try to look into the cat cam if I can make that work without it generating a ton of feedback. Might be a couple of things I can do. Oh, he's double intimidating me, sure. Yeah, okay, because he does the... Oh my god, this deck is annoying as hell. Yeah, that's... I guess we go with the original plan, which kind of sucks. Because I'm just taking another 5 here, because he double... And then I can't really convert this hand efficiently into damage. And I'm also wasting the Codex here. That is really unfortunate. But I also don't want to block with that, because it's like... It's such a sad 2 block. I guess what I can do is... actually, I block 4 here. And then I just arsenal the Fate. And I use the Tunic and the Give and Take to play out the CNC. Because he just seems hellbent on never arsenaling anything. Right? He just does the triple int him. Okay, sure. Yeah, alright. This is annoying, honestly. Yeah, okay. So I guess the plan right now is block with Codex of Bloodrot. Yep, that seems reasonable. So the good thing is, like, balance is going to be live on basically every single turn against this deck. But this deck also intimidates a whole lot, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, I think the plan right now is just throw out the CNC, pitching these two, and then setting up the Fate Foreseen in Arsenal, just so I can block. I don't think I can prioritize Death Touch in Arsenal right here, which really is kind of annoying. Because I don't think having cards in hand is going to be an issue in this matchup, but being able to actually block with cards is going to be problematic for sure. I also don't think he's actually running any D-reacts with this. The best we can maybe hope for is something like Take It on the Chin or something. And probably the only times he's going to block is if he has something, you know, like a good 2-card or 3-card play. But he has an agility token right now, so I think he's just going to be looking to, you know, do a whole bunch of damage with this hand. Just go like attack and then into Ravenous Meat Axe, not arsenaling again. That seems to be what he kind of tries to do. And then just kill me through leaking damage, even though he plays inefficiently, right? Arsenaling that. Okay, so what do we have? We have Looking for a Scrap, Sneak Attack. We can block with this if he lets us to turn on the Sneak Attack. The Looking for a Scrap, that's not too bad. Yeah, he could have No Fear, but I don't know. I kind of don't think so. Okay, Surgical is intimidated. That's pretty decent. So I think what we do is we block with Surgical. We could block with Sneak and the... No, I think we block with Sneak and Surgical. Actually, Surgical would be a really good follow-up to the Looking for a Scrap. So I think what we do is we block with Sneak and the Fate. And then we just take another 5. And that's just what happens, right? Yep. That seems reasonable, yeah. Yep. He could have No Fear, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't hate Isolate here. I do need to set up some more things in the graveyard for Looking for a Scrap. The thing is, he might flashback me on this play, and that would suck. It's another meat axe, sure. Hitting assault and battery. I don't care if I'm getting intimidated here because I don't plan to block this anyways, right? So it doesn't really matter. Yep, he's thinking about the scowling. That's kind of the issue with scowling. You can't really play around scowling. Sometimes you get hands that play around scowling, but often you don't really get a choice for it, right? And you can't play around scowling forever anyways, because you need to get it out of the way at some point. Generally, the earlier the better. So if he gives me scowling here, I'm fine with that, actually. This is like an okay outcome for me. All right. Yeah, so he's giving me beaten and probably another card, which is okay because I think his 2-card hands are a lot less scary than his 3-card hands. All right. Fair enough. I spoke too soon. It's swing big. All right, so this is a swing big for 8, which is obviously pretty big. Can we capitalize on that in any way, shape, or form? I do think this is a matchup where I need to, you know, preserve life as much as possible. Because if the intimidates, I need to stay up on life. Amnesia also doesn't do anything in this matchup. It's just a solid hit in terms of like just getting damage across, right? I also think he doesn't actually run Blood Rush in this version of the deck, so I will need to cash in that balance at some point. The fact that he runs so many draw discard effects with the meat axe means it should be pretty easy to do so. So yeah, I think I need to block 6 here and then just send in the isolate, and yeah. And then he probably flashbacks me, but you know, it's kind of okay. Yep. We can't really use the quicken token, so we just go E-Strike Amnesia and then take 2. It's alright. Actually, I'm not sure if I want to do that. I could just play out the surgical naked. He still has to give me a card for that. And the isolate doesn't really do anything if he wants to respect it anyways. And if I isolate here, he probably just gives me flashback. And then I have a surgical in arsenal, which isn't great. Good question, actually. I think I'm gonna play this out naked, just like that. Just to get a card out of his hand. The problem with Spider's Bite into Surgical is that it has the same issue. He can flashback. And then, you know, I don't get to do anything. That's kind of the issue right now. Block 9, get Quicken Arsenal E-Strike. Also solid. Fair. Yeah, also pretty decent. Yeah, okay, that's fair. And then just use the Quicken to draw a card, or like just go for 7, go again. Fair, fair. Yep. So we're clashing now. Let's see. I'm revealing a Fate. He wins the clash, obviously, but I mean, that happens against Brute, so he gets like agility and might. So he can come in with the like double whatever. Okay, so we have Sigil. We have a hand that doesn't really do anything. So I will play out the Sigil in response to his Intimidate trigger. And then just block with Concealed Blade and Fate Foreseen, and then Arsenal looking for a scrap on my next turn. Yep. Wait. Why did that... No, that shouldn't happen. Okay, I never got to react to the trigger. That's kind of weird. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I guess so. Alright, whatever. Yeah, I guess we're arsenaling the Fate Foreseen then. Also fine. This is an odd matchup. Oh, he's actually arsenaling a card. Okay. So that probably means that... I mean, even if he had a red, he could have swung the Meat Axe, so he must have had something that he really likes to arsenal. So this is maybe like a Blood Rush, if he does run them. So I'm just running out this Sigil here. And then arsenaling. Yeah, maybe should have arsenaled the E-Strike, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yep, it's the Blood Rush. Okay, sure. And he discarded Skullcrack. Sure. I mean, this hand blocks decently well. And then I can do like Infect into Death Touch maybe, or I just block a whole bunch and then arsenal the Death Touch, depending on like how big his turn actually gets. I mean, I run against a Rhinar list that intimidates me on average twice per turn. And the fact that he doesn't really put out above rate value doesn't really matter. Yeah. Like, my Brute matchup just kind of sucks with this list, to be honest. It's not great. Okay, intimidates the Death Touch. That's honestly okay. That's like the card we want to block with the least. But yeah, I'm like, Rhinar is probably one of our not, like, probably in our top, I would say 5 of bad matchups generally, if they know what they're doing. Something like that. Sure, yeah, of course. Hit all of your stuff, you know. It's amazing, yeah. Great. Thanks. Love to see that. 14 go again, why not? Sure. Sure. Alright. I guess we're blocking with what... Wait, no, wait. I don't want to do that. I want to block with that, not actually activate it. Okay, he's being a nice dude about it. Right, here we go. Okay, now we block. So we block with this, we block with this, we block with this. And then we probably take another 7 off of the Meat Axe, which sucks, but, you know, is what it is. So the question right now is, like, do I even crack balance here? It actually kind of... I mean, I can wait until after the Intimidate trigger, I guess. That's actually, yeah, that works. I can wait until after the Intimidate trigger. That's not too bad, yeah. Okay, so I'm taking 6 here, sure. And now he probably either has another big attack or he swings the Meat Axe again. Yep, it's another Meat Axe for 7, discarding another beast within. Sure. Okay, it's a reckless swing, so at least he took a little bit of damage. Yeah, that makes sense. Fate first, yeah. Actually, why would I Fate first? I can't block with it if I Fate first, right? I should have fated on the thing. Yeah, I forgot that I had a fate. I'm just too tired to be honest right now. All right. So that is the Rhinar trigger. Now I activate balance to draw a card. It's leave no witnesses. Sure. What does my hand even do? Just kind of nothing. And then I block this for 3. I mean, yeah, I should have probably fated on the first, but I don't lose any damage this way, so I don't think it really matters. Yeah, shakedown is good. We need threats. Not that they seem to matter into him, to be honest. And then I guess I send the already dead, because, like, what else can I do, right? This is kind of pitiful. He is just running over me right now. And he still has flashback. Yeah, I'm losing this one for sure. Yeah, so turns out playing a Rhinar list that is maximizing Intimidate against a list that likes to block is good. Who would have thought, you know? Yeah, Brutes just kind of outvalue us right now so much with all of the cards they got. Genuinely, like, how did I block that turn terribly? Like, yeah, I could have used the Fate, and then I saw what was on top, and then I block an extra 3. Like, damage-wise, I take the exact same amount of damage. Like, how could I block that better? Enlighten me. Because I don't think I would have... I don't think it would have made any difference. I didn't lose a single point of block value anywhere on that turn. Yeah, it might have been a little bit cleaner to spend a Fate first and then see what's on top for the draw of balance, but otherwise I don't think it matters. I should have kept the Infect. What, like, and then leak an extra 3. Yeah, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. Banishing CNC, pretty good. Okay, Shakedown is intimidated. I guess I'm blocking with Shred and Inertia Trap here. Oh god, I hate this matchup. This is so awful. And then I just send a Shakedown, I guess, with the Codex, yeah. Because he is attacking me again with that Meat Axe. Like that hand now, like the look on my face right now is because this matchup doesn't really allow me to do anything, right? The problem is he has way too much value. He does kind of fatigue himself, that's why he's running Dig Up Dinner, but the amount of damage that he leaks is just so high that it doesn't really matter, because I don't get to block the way I want to. That's kind of the issue with that, right? It's like, I mean, I guess I can not block and leak even more damage and then do like Shakedown, keep the Shred, and then he doesn't block and I'm boned, you know? So that's not really worth it, right? So I'm blocking with this Shred here. I would like to keep the Inertia Trap for the Meat Axe, so he loses the Arsenal, but the fact that I probably won't be able to, and then I can just set up the Inertia in Arsenal for the next turn, and it's like not horrible, you know? Actually, that's probably better. Yeah, keep the inertia, set that up for Arsenal. And then have a direct in Arsenal. Yeah, I keep Codex, of course. Yeah, for sure. I keep the Codex. But I need to pitch the Codex. Like... I mean, if he lets me keep the inertia trap, that's the thing. I get intimidated right now. That's a 50-50. Right? Of course, it's the inertia trap. See, that's what I mean. It's an intimidate. I don't get to choose how I block. That's the problem. I keep shred too. Like, what the hell? What for? I just leak everything. I don't know. I don't think that's correct, to be honest. I just don't think that's correct. Yeah, 33%, like, sure. And then I take extra damage. I don't know. So you're saying I should keep the shred to play out the shakedown, Arsenal the Codex. That's the idea. Sure, yeah, in theory, yes. In practice, I don't get to make that decision. Right? I agree, like, it's... You can optimize lines and everything, and then hope that, you know, you don't get blown out by the Intimidate. Sure. But, yeah, like, Intimidate means you don't get to block the way you want to. That's kind of the issue with it. And the fact that he intimidates on average, like, twice per turn, means I get to block even less the way I want to. Okay, so, yeah, he's playing around the fact that I might have a shred here, which is smart. So that's actually okay. I get scowling off of this. Yeah, I mean, I'm already getting... I'm not getting outvalued, actually. I'm just getting killed because I leak so much damage because of the Intimidates. I mean, getting outvalued is just kind of like, you know, the norm against brutes. That's just what happens, right? And the second Blood Rush. Let's go. It's gonna be kind of a mopey Blood Rush, but because he runs Meat Axe, it might actually not matter that much. And he still has an Arsenal. So yeah, let's see what that does. Definitely heading out after this one, though. I'm too tilted right now to keep playing. Okay, so it's just quote-unquote swing big for 11, which is kind of nice because that means we get to use that inertia trap, and I'm definitely cycling out the pummel with the sink here. And then see what we can do with that. So I think I'm just going to block with inertia trap and sink, cycle out the pummel, and then see what happens. Yep. Seems okay. We get back the Enlightened Strike, which is also alright. Okay, sensor. Not really useful right now. Tunic would be nice right now. Okay, so I think what I do here is I just run out the Codex. And then I go E-Strike for 7. Because I don't feel too great in my ability to name something with Sensor right now that's actually relevant. He didn't run any Pulpings. He's out of Wild Rides and he has like 1 Blood Rush remaining. We could name Blood Rush just to make sure we don't get hit by that. And then pitch the E-Strike to that. Which kind of feels okay. Wait, where's the second Blood Rush? Am I blind? Beast Within, Beast Within. He played 2 Blood Rushes. Oh, there's the second one. Yeah, okay. So yeah, like if he has another Blood Rush here, I'm dead, right? So I think I need to kind of play around that and just name Blood Rush with Sensor and just... Yeah, I think that's smarter. So I just go with Codex of Bloodrot. We arsenal the Sensor and then we play out the Sensor. I mean, realistically, he's so far ahead, it doesn't really matter. Because this is just like the anti-assassin list, basically. Or like just generally anti-defensive deck list, right? Okay, he's actually respecting the Sensor. Giving me 2 cards here. Kinda nice. We do get a free arsenal. It's a backstab. That's decent to have an arsenal, honestly. Okay. Yeah, we can make a number of plays here. We can go like looking for a scrap into backstab CNC. Arsenal, Codex of Frailty. Block with the Leave No. Ah, he did actually have the Blood Rush. Smart. I think he was just playing around the fact that I would likely name Blood Rush here, just to insulate myself against that. Please don't take the Leave No. Okay, very nice. It's the Codex. That's definitely good. And he's arsenaling something. He still has the same card in Arsenal for like a while now, actually. So yeah, I'm just blocking 3 here with the Leave No, and then I just go Tunic, looking for a scrap, backstab CNC. Seems okay. Arsenal the Codex, so we go Tunic. I think I'm flicking Nerve Scalpel on this turn, just to set that up if I draw into another looking for a scrap. Because I don't have any other targets for it in the graveyard right now, and I definitely don't need that Nerve Scalpel. He's not running any D-Reacts. He does have Reckless Swing, but he already discarded one. I don't know if he plays a second one. I haven't seen it pitched. And it hasn't been discarded, so I think he probably is only on the 1 Reckless Swing. Even so, like, Nerve Scalpel doesn't actually matter against Reckless Swing, right? So, yeah. I just don't think he lets the Leave No Witnesses hit. And I don't have a way to make it connect. I mean, yeah, I guess if I cycle it with the backstab, maybe, yeah, sure. I could go like backstab, Leave No Witnesses, yada yada, you know. And I guess if he does block that, it kind of doesn't matter, because he's not running any D-Reacts. If he gives me like 2 cards here, it's kind of the same. So I get your reasoning. Okay, we do have another Codex coming up. That is not really helpful right now. Might be the better line, yeah, fair enough. Because if he 2-card blocks, it's the same outcome. He doesn't have equipment anymore, and he doesn't run any D-React, so fair. Yep. I can see it. 2 codexes. Actually, triple codex right now, also not amazing. I guess that happens when you run like 6 codexes. Yeah, my list is like just, I don't know, I'm still kind of optimizing stuff. I'm not too sure I'm super happy with it. Because I think at this point the list is just kind of like a little bit value soup, if that makes sense, right? Okay, he's playing out a Skullcrack for 6 go again. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I think what I do is I go block 6 here. Because he's gonna attack with the meat axe and intimidate me and all that crap, right? So I just block 6 here while I can. And now he probably either uses Tunic or he pitches the last card and then meat axes me. Let's see. Yeah, that's fair. Like, I agree, if you're behind, you have to play a little more risky, right? Okay, he's playing Agile Windup? I know he's discarding Agile Windup. Okay, and then he's coming in. Okay, so he's going for the double Intimidate and just wants to hit me for 5. Okay, I get it. That's, yep, respectable, and honestly, yep, double Intimidate. That's the problem, right? I'm just leaking damage left and right like a sieve. And there's nothing I can do about it. Because he just has double intimidates on like at least every other turn. And then I just don't get to block. And now he just draws up into Reckless and I die. Let's see. Okay, so I think what we do here is we play out the Codex of Bloodrot. We attack with Spider's Bite. We play the Codex of Frailty. Double Ponder isn't great, obviously, but yeah, is what it is. And then we grab Leave No Witnesses, of course, because that's a 2-card block right now, unless he wants to give me Tunic. Actually, because I'm attacking with Spider's Bite, it's a 2-card block, whatever he does. Can't give me Tunic. But yeah, most likely he just does not care, right? He just keeps the 3-card hand, and then, you know, that's shit is. Oh wait, sorry, I didn't mean to pass here. Okay, so we go here. I'm not concentrated at all right now. I don't know, maybe you can tell. Alright. And then we grab Leave No Witnesses, and we attack him with it. The good thing is, right now, because of the Codex of Bloodrot, we got a card into his arsenal that was already in his hand, instead of allowing him to get back something like a Wild Ride or something, right? Where he can set up another double Intimidate turn that just straight up kills you. So that's actually not terrible. Because he's getting like fairly low on cards, so the number of actually like impactful cards that he has left in his deck is not that high, right? Yeah, like I am annoyed. Like I lost, I think, what, 3 games in a row pretty much. I am getting annoyed by that, especially when it's against decks where I feel like I don't have a lot of agency, right? That's kind of like generally what tends to annoy me the most. Is like if I don't have agency, right? If I'm in a situation where something's bad and I can do something about it, I'm fine with that, right? Because I just, you know, obviously do something about it and it's okay. But if I'm in a situation where I can't do something about things, right? Then that's when I get annoyed, right? Double Ponder, baby, let's go. Hell yeah. Which one of these do we want in Arsenal? I think Shakedown is slightly better here. Yeah, I think I'm going with Shakedown because I still have 2 daggers. I can keep the Shred. They both block 3, so that doesn't really matter. Yeah, game's hard. It's fine. Like he's correct. You know, I need to work on my mental state. Honestly, that is definitely something that I tend to have issues with. Right. So yeah. Okay. Can we afford to go to 1 here and just block with the inertia trap? I think so. Because it doesn't matter in terms of reckless. And it doesn't matter in terms of intimidates. If he can intimidate me, usually I die either way because he can leak at least 2 from the meat axe. So I think I'm fine going to 1 here. He does have a go again on this, but I don't think he can convert that. Because he just straight up doesn't have anything in his deck that just attacks for 0, right? So yeah, I'm fine with that. I just go with the inertia trap here. Yep. And then his arsenal's gone. And then I can actually go infect, like give and take, which he probably just, you know, lets go, so that doesn't really matter. I don't think he's blocking this, but then I can go shakedown and I have a shred to back it up. So that's actually not terrible. He's definitely not blocking this. But yeah. You know, funnily, I feel like I actually have more agency into Prism just because what she does isn't random, apart from, you know, obviously drawing cards and stuff like that. But, okay, actually they let us grab a card back here, which I think means we're just gonna go do that all over again. Do I have another give and take here? I don't think I have a give and take in the... I don't have a give and take. The problem is, what do I actually... Like, he's not going to have much of a clapback. It's probably just the thingy. And we do have... I think I'm putting back a looking for a scrap because I have tuning coming up. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Let's do that. Okay, looking for a scrap. And then I will... Yeah, he's probably just gonna go for meat axe on this turn, and then I can just block 6 on it. And that should be okay. Yeah, she does. I completely agree. I do need to flick here because I don't currently have a target for that looking for a scrap. So I will flick the Nerf Scalpel on this shakedown, even though I have a shred. I agree, she does have agency into everything. Against Kano, I think the agency that you have is deck building. And that's honestly kind of it. Like, how the matchup goes is just, you know, how it goes. I do think that she does obviously have like varying amounts of agency over things, right? And that is an issue. Yeah, he has reckless. Okay, whatever. It's GG anyways. Okay. GG's. There we go. He did run double reckless, so yeah, okay. Yeah, so I agree that we do have agency against everything, but we also, like, the amount of agency that we have into different decks is obviously very dependent on the deck that we play against, right? Against combo decks, I think our agency is lower, of course, because they have like deterministic outcomes and they try to just not interact with us as much as possible. the fact that we kind of forced him to interact obviously is pretty relevant. And I think against a deck that literally completely relies on RNG, the way this specific kind of Rhinar list does, like not completely obviously, but there was a whole bunch of turns where if the Intimidates had hit different cards, the outcome would have been a lot different on that specific turn cycle, right? And that's kind of my issue with Brute, is just like the randomness is why I'm not playing that class anymore, because it just feels terrible on both ends. I just don't like the design of Brute in general. Or the RNG aspect of Brute. I like the rest of the design of Brute. I think it's overall an interesting class. I just don't like that they have to do variance that's baked into the class. That's just my 2 cents. Feel free to disagree with me. I don't think they're overpowered or underpowered because of that. I think Brutes are in a really good spot right now. I just don't like that they get to that spot partially because of variance. That's just how it is. You know, whether it's rolling scabs, hitting key cards off of Intimidates, stuff like that, you know? It's just, it happens. It's fine. It's a higher variance class. They exist in the game. It's okay. I don't have to like it. How am I feeling about Censor? Honestly, not too hot. I do think it was kind of relevant against the Kayo matchup that we had a bit earlier, where I named Bear Fangs, and I'm pretty sure they had a Bear Fangs in hand and they couldn't play it, and were forced to play a Wild Ride instead, which meant that they lost out on 3 damage because they already had a go again. So the go again of the Wild Ride was irrelevant, and it was a yellow one instead of a red Bear Fangs. So that's like 5 damage compared to 8 damage. So the Censor was worth like 3 extra value in that situation. I think the main issue with Censor is just that if you get the right card, if you name the right card, it feels amazing, right? And there are a bunch of decks that can give you information sometimes, where it's like, whether it's Cast Bones, which was the situation that I was in against the KO actually, where I had a pretty decent idea of what they might have on top or draw in their next hand, right? Or it's something like a Prism playing like Heralds of Rebirth, or attacking with Avalon, putting like a Herald of Triumph back on top of their deck, or you just flat out name Herald of Triumph because they're running 9 of them, right? Whether it's like a deck that shows you a card with Ravenous Rabble, I don't know. There's a bunch of like ways that Censor can be impactful. It's probably better in Arachne just because you have some amount of like card knowledge baked into what Arachne does. So if Censor actually turns up, you already have some kind of idea what you can name. The problem with Censor and Arachne is it heavily fights for the slot of a 1-cost-5 contract, which are really important right now in the meta, right? Where it's like you have obviously Annihilate the Armed, which is amazing at the moment. Generally just one of the best contracts, I think, in terms of making silver. And then you have like the other ones are not that amazing, but like Rob the Rich is pretty good right now, right? Because it's good against both Prism and Brutes. And then Nyx the Nimble is also actually at least playable because of Warrior being a relevant part of the meta right now, and half their deck is reactions basically. So it's also a playable card, and the 1-cost-5s are really important right now. Because there's so much armor floating around, right? You miss a... Hey, yo, it's Mara. Hi. Funnily enough, I didn't play against any Dromite today. No, but I'm just kind of getting a little bit annoyed about getting screwed over by variance, right? In this game, and like kind of, I don't know. I have a ProQuest coming up on Sunday, And I honestly feel like a little bit lost with this list. Like it's on screen right now. Yeah, like being illegal will do that to a deck, right? It happens. So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of feel a little bit lost with this list right now because I feel it's a little unfocused, if that makes sense. It's just like a blue Zuri core and then just mash in a soup of what are the best generics cards you can run. And I get that that's kind of like what a Zuri generally does, right? Um, I felt like the contract list I was on before had a more stringent game plan, if that makes sense. Yeah, don't fix what isn't broken is generally decent advice. That's true. Yeah. I might just go back to like the contract list I was playing at my last PQ because that list honestly felt fine to run. It was alright. Um, I think this list has like a marginally better Prism matchup. That's why we made it that way, right? That was kind of the idea. Like this list is sort of the accumulation of how can we make Uzuri decent against Prism. That was kind of like the idea in there, right? So there's Amnesia in here. Then Censor kind of took the spot of Annihilate the Armed. Blue Sneak is actually a tech I was trying out that Archon recommended. It's a scrap target, so what I was running in that spot before was just like blue stealth cards, right? So I was running like one copy of Wither and then one copy of Malign. And realistically, all of these are identical. Like all of the blue stealth cards kind of do the same. And the idea with sneak attack is that you can do sneak attack off of a blue, right? And then if they don't respect it, you can black text. And then that way it's kind of like zealous belting a little bit. It's also decent when you get it to the bottom of the deck and you can just go like isolate into sneak attack because it's one of your more impactful blues that you can swap in. Actually, in terms of raw damage, like the highest damage blue that you could actually run. And yeah, otherwise it's just another way to turn scrap life. That's kind of the idea. So it has like it sort of fixes one issue that stealth heavy lists have is when you draw all stealth hands, those tend to do like nothing. And then when you have sneak attack in that hand instead of another blue stealth, you can at least do something like dagger and then switch in a sneak attack for like 5 to 6 damage off of 3 cards if they let you have it. Like the worst thing that can happen is draw like a full stealth hand when you have tempo, right? And sneak attack makes that like slightly less bad, basically. It's not amazing. I don't think it's gonna do like crazy amounts. I will say that the fact that it blocks 2 was not relevant in the games I had today. But the text on it also was not relevant in the games I had today. So it felt fine. It felt okay, honestly. The situation where it would have been decent never came up. But yeah, that's kind of what it does. I think one thing that I have to really work on is my usage of black text. Because I feel like I am finishing a lot of games without actually using black text. That's definitely an issue that I have. I've noticed that in a bunch of games. That I am not really making black text plays. And that's a problem. I'm not sure how I can work on that. The fact that my list only runs 3 shreds is an issue. And that was definitely better in the contract list because I could run cut to the chase. And then you can do stuff like already dead, cut to the chase, black text codex, which is amazing. I could switch it out with Snapdragons. That's true, but I do feel like the 1 block is actually kind of relevant in a lot of matchups right now. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, sure, shoot. We're all for weird cards. So, since you're in here, are you actually on Uzuri right now? Or are you just like paying a visit, lamenting the loss of Dromai? Stuff like that. Yeah, gore belching is a non-block. That's unfortunate, yeah. You can't pop with it. That's kind of the issue, yeah. It would be a decent card to swap in because it's just like a raw 7, which isn't terrible. But yeah, gore belching with a block value would be a lot better than gore belching with no block value. Like, even if it just blocked 0, just being able to block with it would be good. But yeah, as non-block, it's like absolutely horrible. Yeah, don't think you can run that. All right, all right. I like to hear that. Um, Define crack the prism matchup for us, because I feel like we have an all right plan into prism, but I don't think there's anything we can do to actually be hugely favored into prism. Um, CFK, no, I don't think I'll be playing Redline right now. Um, I don't like Redline at the moment. It's what I started on, right? And it's, I think, actually historically the list that I did best on. But I think the blue heavier lists are currently in a better spot because there's a lot of grindy decks, and being able to actually dagger a bunch is really relevant into those. Like the upside that redline lists have, I think, is against more aggressive decks because you can hide information from them with the stealth swaps, and they're like likely to just not block if they don't know what it is, right? Whereas if they know it's a CNC, they are going to block. They have that information, and then they're probably going to block it if their hand allows for it at all, right? And that's where like Redline kind of has the advantage. But if you're running into a meta where like half the decks are running a ton of D-reacts, I think Redline gets a little bit worse. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think if you want to have a deck that is like hugely favored into Prism, I do think there's a bunch of things you can do with Uzuri to make that matchup significantly better, right? Um, Flick Knives is amazing into Prism. We have like someone on the Discord who is a fervent defender of running Vambrace into Prism over um, Flick Knives, but I think that's more a result of her local meta being like very defensive when it comes to the Prism players and setting up a lot of Spectral Shields and stuff like that. Um, I think the one card that probably makes the biggest difference is running Time Skippers, which also means um, you need the blue count to support that. You cannot hurl through an ALS, unfortunately. Destroying the dagger is an on play trigger, but then the actual flick happens, or it's an additional cost, so you can destroy a dagger and pay 1. But the actual flick from hurl happens on the attack, so you can't flick through an ALS, unfortunately. Tom, that's not 100% correct. Like, destroying the dagger is an additional cost, but you only flick the dagger when you get to attack with hurl, so unfortunately it doesn't work when attacking Spectra. Yeah, it would. Absolutely, I agree. Like, if you could do that on attack, I think just running 3 hurls And we wouldn't really need time skippers, I think. If that was a thing, that would be amazing. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. So I think Time Skippers is definitely a card you can run that makes Prism a whole lot better, like the matchup. I think Codex of Bloodrot is also really good against Prism, just because she doesn't have a good way of dealing with Bloodrot, and it kills angels, or generally like anything with ward, right? So running 3 Codex of Bloodrot, I think, is pretty reasonable right now. The card is also just generally a really good extender. It's just like 2 damage replaces itself, and then it has additional upsides if you run Death Touch, or against opponents that never Arsenal, right? You can sometimes force them to Arsenal. So that card is really strong right now. I think another thing you can do if you are really concerned about Prism is start running 7 power poppers. But I also think those are generally terrible in Uzuri. And so they have like a very high cost of opportunity, right? Yeah, sure. Like if Prism has Merciful, Bloodrot actually deals damage to you. That's true. But I'm willing to make that trade-off if it means one of their angels dies, right? So I think the thing is, like, if you run Time Skippers, I don't think they can really set up the loop unless they have a really, really crazy hand early in the game and they just get it kind of naturally. They have to consider the fact that you have an out to the loop just straight up on the board, and that makes them play differently, I think. So that's kind of the thing, right? Yeah, like the 7 power poppers being 3 costs and just having like no relevant text apart from that is just kind of annoying. Like you can run Finals Fighting Spirit and it's not, horrible. I don't think you'll get life into Prism realistically with it. I also think that poppers are not what makes your Prism matchup good. It's nice when they line up and you can pop and, it makes their turn cycles inefficient and stuff like that. But I think the goal to beating Prism is not through poppers in general. At least much, much, much less than it was against Dromai. If that makes sense. Yeah, like if you can force the skippers and then you can do the board setup again, right? Then that's a win for the Prism. And the idea in general is that we pressure them enough that they can't do that. They get 1 tempo swing, right? With whatever their Halo play is, and with whatever makes them force us to use time skippers. That's their 1 tempo swing. And then ideally they should not get another tempo swing. That's kind of the idea where I'm at, what I'm trying to do. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm not saying poppers are bad, right? Like poppers are good against Prism, and the more poppers you can put into your list without compromising it, the better. But I just think that number is not very high, to be honest. That's kind of the issue with it, right? And the list that I am on right now is pretty popper heavy as far as Uzuri lists go, right? So you've got 3, 6, 9, 11, and then we have Shakedown here. So we're on like 14 poppers, which I would say is like above average for your typical Uzuri list. I think even back in the day when I had to think about Dromai, I was on like... I don't actually remember. I think it wasn't like something in the same-ish region, 14 or 15 if I remember correctly. And that included stuff like Down and Dirty, right? So that's obviously not something you run anymore, I think. So, Alex, I think that's actually a good point because I think you can expect the average prism that you run into to be average. That's kind of the point. And because prism is an extremely hard deck to play well, the average prism is going to make suboptimal plays, make mistakes, play into your disruption, play into your flick knife, stuff like that. And I think that actually does make the matchup okay for us. I think against a very, very good prism, we do tend to have a pretty bad time probably. But I don't think it's an auto loss. I definitely feel like Prism is a matchup where I have more agency and more chances to win than I did have against a good Dromai. My 2 cents, right? But I'm honestly like, I'm not concerned with making my Prism matchup better at the moment. I'm concerned with making my Brute matchup better at the moment. That's like the main thing where I struggle. Because I lost 2 games against Brutes today. The Rhinar loss was like, okay, that's fair because I think that's a list that's basically tailor-made to beat decks like this, right? But the Kayo wasn't doing anything that was particularly like amazing, right? It was just a KO deck doing KO things, making value plays. He didn't have any crazy high rolls. We resolved like 2 pretty medium blood rushes, had like 1 cast bones that was good. That's it. That was the deck. I think he rolled like 1 scabskin roll that was good, and then he also whiffed on scabskins once, and then it could just kind of balances out. And if I'm losing a game where the KO just plays, average turn cycles, that's an issue. That's what I need to improve, I think. Yeah, that is an issue. Like what I found is like the majority of KOs will just not arsenal against me straight up. They don't care. They just know that not arsenaling a card means that my disruption basically gets cut in half, right? So that is an issue for sure. Inertia Trap is pretty good against them, I think. But like CNC doesn't really do a whole lot, and like Leave No Witnesses doesn't do a whole lot. And then the other stuff that I have, obviously Shakedown is good. Surgical is good if you can get it to connect, right? Those are obviously great. I am genuinely slightly thinking about putting Humble back in the deck, just because Humble kind of messes with their game plan. But there's also so many turn cycles where they just don't care about Humble, right? That's kind of an issue too. Yeah, Bloodrot. I don't remember if I ran Codex of Bloodrot into them. I don't think I did. I should probably start doing that. So that makes sense. Bloodrot is definitely good. Yeah, I probably should. Like the thing is, I feel like 2 blocks and 3 blocks kind of don't matter too much into KO. Like, sure, if you have too many 2 blocks, you can't block efficiently and you lose value that way, but it's really only a value game. You get to decide how you block like 99% of the time, right? And if you build around Bloodrot Codex, yeah, that's actually that's a decent point. Like, I should probably start running Bloodrot Codex into them. I'm just thinking what else I can do to improve that matchup. I'm already running Balance, right? So that's a given. I'm running 3 copies of Inertia Trap. So if they do want to set up an arsenal, I have a reactive way to play around that. So that's pretty decent. And I just don't think like any of the generic disruption pieces that we have access to impact them a whole lot. Like Amnesia has like niche issue against cast bones, but that really needs to line up. And if they're looking to make a cast bones play, they're probably happy to just block your amnesia out, so that's fine. Sensor is obviously always okay if you hit with it, but you don't always do, so that's kind of, hard. And Kayo doesn't really run anything as like 9 offs or even 6 offs, so just naming blindly off of Sensor isn't really something you can do. And then the only thing they do to really reveal info to you is cast bones. So again, it does need to line up. Death Touch is nice, but it's not really disruption, so that's kind of an issue. And then you've got the rest that you have is like Erase Phase, which is like, yeah, okay, if you manage to line that up on a Blood Rush turn, it's okay, but otherwise it doesn't do anything. And then Humble kind of messes with their variance to an extent, because now suddenly all of their blues aren't 6s anymore. But I think the chance for Humble to actually affect their average turn cycle isn't even that high, if we're being realistic about it, right? It maybe has like, I don't know, I'd say, because it really only matters when they're trying to do a Blood Rush play or play one of their draw discard effects. I think Humble probably has the highest chance of being impactful into KO. But yeah, that's kind of my issue with it. Like, it's extremely random on when it actually shuts down their turn. And you can't really plan around it, right? That's kind of the issue that I have with the card. And then in theory, you could run like cut down to size. But I feel like the best KO hands are typically 3-card hands anyway. So he's just so happy to give you a single card to block with. He also runs the clashes, so sometimes he gets like extra value off of those blocks even. And then you get even more value off of something like Apex Bonebreaker, of course, because he can block with that, and he gets even more Might tokens. So I don't know, it's hard. It's definitely a rough matchup where I just don't know if there's like any tech we can bring that really makes it significantly better, right? Outside of like Balance of Justice, which is obviously amazing against them, but that's kind of it in my opinion. Like, I don't think there's anything else we can run that makes that matchup like a lot better. Yeah. Yeah, that's generally the issue she has. Like, I think Uzuri needs like one more generally good 3-block disruptive card to really be considered a high tier deck, I think. I think there is probably a contract list that can fatigue KO. I know that Arachnes are regularly fatiguing KO. I don't think Uzuri can replicate that game plan necessarily unless you go into something like the list that Caleb ran at the Battle Hardened, which is like a straight up hard fatigue Uzuri list. I think that's possible, but I think that list loses against a whole lot of other decks. Yeah, 100% scale peeler and bite into KO. Like, there's no real reason to run any other dagger. Like, they don't run D-React, so Nerve Scalpel doesn't do anything. They don't really run non-attacks outside of Blood Rush and Cast Bones, so Orbitoclast doesn't do anything. I mean, you can arguably run Graven Call into them if you're on like a contract list and you have the silver generation for it. but I think Scale Peeler is better. Like, what you can do if you run a contract list and you run Graven Call is you start with Scale Peeler and then you flick it away and then you bring back Graven Call with Concealed Blade. I think that's generally the plan if you want to run Graven Call into like aggressive decks. Like, the thing, I think the problem with Contract Uzuri, right, is like you are mostly playing contracts for two reasons in Uzuri, I think. Reason one, they generate you silver and you want to use that silver for something. Whether that's Graven Call, more boots activations, mask activations, whatever, right? But they make you silver. The second reason to run contracts in Uzuri is Cut to the Chase, because Cut to the Chase is one of the best reactions Assassin has access to, in my opinion. And you obviously need to run contracts to enable that. I think actually playing for a straight up fatigue list, if you're playing Uzuri, is slightly missing the point, in my opinion. If you want to play a fatigue list as Assassin, I think we're at the point where Arachne is the better deck. I'm not saying that Contract Uzuri is bad, but it's like not, not because you can fatigue better necessarily than other Uzuri lists, I think. That's kind of the point where I'm at, right? Yeah, Infiltrate's just like, I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to let it hit. That's kind of the main thing, because it just comes in for 3. Occasionally, yeah, you can hit something. You hit like a Swing Big and it's great, but yeah. Actually, Swing Big might be one of the not really better things you can hit. Because you can just go like, he just goes like equipment plus 2 cards, sets up a Quicken, and then just does like a Cast Bones play or something. So 8 to 9 copies of Shred, I think, run the issue that you can't do that and also run Codex of Bloodrot, and I want to run Codex of Bloodrot. That's basically what it comes down to. Yeah. I do feel like so one thing I feel with this list in particular is that I am not having enough reactions to really make my threats connect. That's also why I'm kind of thinking about maybe switching back to contracts or alternatively running more shreds in this list. But I think the issue I have with that specific list is I don't actually run that many assassin attacks, right? So if I just jam in more shreds, sure, I can use shred and like switch, right? I can do like stealth card, swap, shred, whatever. That stuff works. But I think the way the list is configured right now, running more shreds doesn't make sense. That's kind of the issue I have. I do feel like I need a few more reactions to really make the deck work. Because like one issue I have with this is like this deck is really kind of getting dumpstered on by decks that can block 6 and then just have plays that are better than that. And we saw that against the Rhinar, we saw that against the Kayo to some extent. Like these mid-range decks that can block decently well and then just outvalue you, you don't really have an out to that with this list, right? That's kind of the issue where I'm at right now. Why I don't feel like this list is all that great, apart from being pretty decent into Prism. So I don't know. Like I might go back to contracts. I don't know. It's rough, honestly. It's kind of rough. I think the actual reality right now is that Uzuri is just not in a very good spot at the moment. And I'm not saying that to be like defeatist or something. I just think that she's genuinely not in the most amazing spot to be in at the moment. Um, it's a fine deck to play, and the fact that nobody is expecting you to play it at the moment still helps. You run into so many people that just have like very little matchup experience into Assassin, and you can capitalize on that. But at my last ProQuest, I played into like two Kayos who had basically zero experience with the matchup and both made misplays, like playing No Fear into my Flick Knives. And I still lost both of those games. Like one of those was like a high roll to hell, so I'm not counting that. But the other one was basically similar to the game that we had on stream today, where I just did my thing and he just did his thing and he just outvalued me, and there wasn't really anything I could do about that. What Nathan put Uzuri in S tier based on matchup spread? What is that dude smoking? And where can I get some of that? Like, genuinely. I don't think that's correct. Unless you're like, I don't know, the world's best Uzuri player and you exclusively go up against people that are not as good as you are. I don't think putting her in S tier is correct. Like, if I had to put Uzuri somewhere at the moment, I would probably put her in like, I don't know, low-ish B tier. Like, I feel like it's a decent deck to play, but how do I put this? Like, I don't think there's a compelling reason to run Uzuri right now. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Back when Lexi was the best deck in the format, there was a compelling reason to play Uzuri because you had like the best matchup into the best deck. And then you had a bunch of bad matchups, but you were just hoping to only get paired into Lexi, and then that was fine. I don't think Uzuri has a lot of like really bad matchups right now. Like you say, I think it's basically only Prism and Kano. And Prism isn't even that horrible. Teklo-Vossen, I guess, is kind of pretty bad if they know what they're doing, but also nobody's playing Teklo right now. That might change, but yeah, your Azalea matchup is pretty okay. They can absolutely high roll you, but the fact that Azalea is like the one aggro deck that kind of cannot do the whole never Arsenal stuff plan because like her efficiency just goes down so much. Means that all of your Arsenal disruption is live, and then Azalea blocks like shit, like really badly, so you can capitalize on that, but you can get absolutely high rolled by Azalea, right? The matchup does get significantly better if you have managed to include Unmovable and or Oasis. Both work, I think, in that regard. But yeah, I would say it's a pretty decent, like probably 60-40 in favor of Uzuri, something like that. I think my main issue with Uzuri right now is that she just has a whole bunch of matchups that don't feel like terrible, but they feel like just slightly Uzuri unfavored. And she doesn't really have a lot of matchups that actually feel Uzuri favored right now. I would say the ones where I feel like I'm favored are like Katsu, Azalea, honestly, that's kinda it. Really. Provided that, you know, both players are of equal skill, equal matchup experience, yada, 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 all of that. So yeah, I feel like the matchups where I feel Uzuri is inherently favored at the moment are like Katsu and Azalea. That's pretty much it. Anything else? Let's see. What do we have? Like in terms of heroes that are currently legal to play. Arachne definitely feels Arachne favored. If you're playing Uzuri against Arachne, I think Arachne has the inherent advantage there. Azalea feels Uzuri favored. Betsy, I could genuinely not tell you. I don't think I've ever played against a single Betsy. I would put that probably somewhere close to Bravo, where it's just kind of like 50-50. And you need to know the matchup in order to win. But I feel like Bravo's pretty doable overall. And Betsy should realistically be kind of the same. Then Dash.io might be a deck that feels slightly favored for Uzuri, but she has better armor than Azalea and Katsu and just as ridiculous pop-off turns. And she can also bring more tech to make her bat matchups better than those two. So I would say maybe very slightly Uzuri favored. Dash very heavily depends on the list. I think Slapdash is slightly unfavored. Hybrid and Boost Dash are favored for Uzuri, in my opinion. Or Hybrid is like 50-50, but pretty winnable. Dorinthia Hatchets, I feel, is like okay matchup for us, but not favored. Fi, I would say, kind of the same if they know what they're doing. They're a lot better at playing around us than Katsu is. Kano is unfavored for sure. Kasai, kind of the same as the Hatchet Dory. I think our Kasai matchup is a little bit better, but it's also higher variance because she can high roll better than Dory can. Katsu, like I said, slightly favored. Kayo, I would say slightly unfavored for us. Same for Levia. Max, again, I don't really have any experience with. I don't think I've ever played against a Max. It's mostly a combo deck, so the fact that we have a lot of disruption and can keep them off Arsenal and they need to be on Arsenal is pretty decent. But if they do combo us, it's pretty bad. So yeah, Olympia, probably it's either a Decimator or like some version of dual wield warriors. I would say it's like okay, but not great. Prism unfavored. Rhinar unfavored. Riptide. If you know the matchup, it's pretty okay. It's just really weird to play into. Like extremely weird to play into. But I think it's a decent matchup for us. But probably also kind of like 50-50. Bolton depends on what exact plan they're on. But I feel is doable. But just based on the fact that we like blocking and Bolton kind of punishes that, it feels like it's a rough matchup. Tekla-Vossen, I still think if they really know the matchup is favored. If they don't know it and are slightly unexperienced, I think it's a favorite for Assassin. Uzuri, yeah, Mirror is Mirror, obviously. Victor, I feel, is like slightly unfavored for us because they're just better at doing value plays than the other Guardians are. Viserai is unfavored in my opinion. Definitely if they're on OTK, probably also if they're on the slightly more aggressive plan, although that is just generally not a very good deck right now. And I think Vinset is also unfavored if the Vinset is good, which not a lot of them are because it's just a very hard deck to pilot well and not a lot of people are playing it. Yeah, Yorick is, I think he's correct in that Uzuri is probably the worst matchup for this like combo Katsu. Yeah. Because we can block well and still disrupt, which like no other deck can do. Like Guardian can either block well or disrupt, but usually not both. Unless they're using armor to do it, and they get to do that like maybe once or twice per game. I don't know. I still think like the Raiden plan is pretty solid generally. Just it's a good like mid-rangey deck which has like combo outs. How do you gauge a good player versus average bad player? So I mean, like if you don't know them and you've never played against them, I don't think there's any way you can inherently do it, right? Generally, kind of watch out for how many mistakes they make. And then obviously, the more mistakes they make, the more you're leaning towards average in general. But I don't think there's like any one specific thing where you can say, yeah, this guy is bad or this guy is very good or something, right? Like even good players still make mistakes. Even bad players sometimes play a perfect clean game, you know. Um, I don't think that's something you can like say generally, right? Yeah, like Mara, that's a good point. Assume that your opponent is good until proven otherwise, I think. I always assume that my opponent is going to play everything correctly, and then I try to capitalize on it when they don't, basically. Like, that's how I approach basically every game. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I think like this whole stream of consciousness that I just did maybe kind of explains why I don't feel like terribly hot about Uzuri right now. I think I'm still gonna play her just because like she's by far the deck that I feel the most comfortable on, and I think that is way more important than considering like matchup spreads or like tier lists and stuff like that. Um, so pick whatever you're most comfortable on, right? Not what you feel like should be the correct pick based on stuff like matchup spread and things like that. I do think Azuri is a valid deck to run right now. I'm not saying she's in a like she's bad at the moment. I just think, like I said again, I don't think there's a really compelling reason right now to play Uzuri apart from I like playing Uzuri. I think that's how I would sum it up probably. She doesn't have the Lexi matchup where you just went like, all right, I know I'm unfavored into a bunch of decks, but I do have the best matchup in the game against the currently best deck in the format. That's gone. And that was a huge reason to run Azuri, I think. And she just doesn't have that anymore. And her bad matchups are still there. They haven't really changed, and we haven't really gotten anything that made them better. And then the rest of her matchup spread just kind of shuffled around a bit, right? It's a little less polarizing right now, where you have fewer really bad matchups, but also no really good matchups, and then a whole bunch of stuff in the middle that's just feels like between 45 and 55 one way or the other. And that's where you can skill gap people and where you can, get the most out of your play lines and stuff like that. So she feels in an all right spot overall. But I do feel like if you want to maximize your chances at winning a given event, there are probably better decks to run than Uzuri. I think that's how I would like sum it up, if that makes sense, right? She's extremely fun to play, though. That is still definitely a thing, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of lines with Uzuri that are just extremely, extremely fun to do, and not a whole lot of other decks get to do that. So that's definitely still a compelling reason to play her. Is she's just really fun to play. That's a good reason to play her. But I think if you're purely results oriented, right? I think there's some decks currently in the meta that are better. Yep, Assassin is fun. That's kind of the issue I have. Like anytime I play any other class right now, I'm just like, yeah, this isn't doing the same things that Assassin can do. So I want to go back, right? That was kind of like, yeah. I think that's the best reason to play assassin, and generally like the best reason to play any deck is I am having the most fun playing this deck. That's why I play it, right? Um, so I'm definitely gonna play on Sunday. I'm just kind of thinking about like what version of her do I play? And that's kind of right now that's a little bit rough. Because like this kind of mid-range soup Uzuri that I've got going on here doesn't really feel like it. I'm not impressed with the performance the deck is putting out, to be honest. It just kind of feels okay, but it doesn't feel like it's doing anything terribly well either way, and it just does a whole bunch of things like averagely decently well, you know? And I don't think that's a spot that you want to be in. You want to be in a spot where you can say, I have a clear game plan where I can do one thing pretty well, and that's what I focus on, right? So yeah, it might be back to contracts for me because I still don't see Redline. And I think any version of Blue Zuri is going to look at least superficially similar to this, where you just play a bunch of blues and then a bunch of cards that are just good. Right? I do think Dash.io is actually in a pretty decent spot right now, provided you know how to navigate Guardians and Warriors. Because like these really defensive grindy decks that can just generate a whole bunch of value are, I think, a problem for Dasha O, where she can just kind of grind herself down without ever getting to kill them. And I think specifically with Warrior and Guardian, they just have so much armor, so much fridge, and you need to have a really good game plan. But I do like I one of the guys that I frequently run into at like local events, like ProQuest, Road to National, stuff like that, is running a Plasma mainline -io list, where he runs mainline and then what's it called? Convection amplifier, and his end game is typically against like the grindy decks. Try to set up a turn where you can go Hyper Scrapper for like 12 dominate, something like that, just to close out the game. And mainline helps a lot with that because you could just get so much more. He's also running like a number of the regular items. He runs like pounders, right? And if you can get an extra counter on Pounder from a mainline, that's huge amounts of value. Like that just puts you so much above rate basically for a blue. So yeah, that's a fun list. I did like playing -io when I dabbled with her for a little bit, but I am realistically nowhere near practiced enough on the deck to bring it to a pro quest that's in like 4 days, so that's not what I'm gonna do. But it's a fun deck for sure. And I think it does have a whole bunch of matchups that are less bad than one would conventionally think, simply based on how she can navigate around them with the correct tech. She's a ton of fun for sure, yeah. -io is really fun to play. It's such an intricate deck. There's so many things happening at once. Really, really fun. And you can do some stupid powerful lines with the deck. So that's also, it feels rewarding, right? When you can do these like big pop-off turns with Tome of Fyendal and just gain back a bunch of health, draw a bunch of cards, flip an item off the top, attack 5 or 6 times with her gun. It just feels really fun. But yeah, like the average -io players will fatigue themselves when they're playing against a defensive deck. That's what's going to happen. So you need to have a plan for that, because this is a meta where you have a whole lot of really defensive decks. Anyways, it is currently almost 11 p.m. here. I actually wanted to finish this stream like an hour or two ago. So I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks to all of you for sticking around here, even though I've been just like rambling and not playing any games for the last hour or so. But I enjoy these chatting sessions. This is definitely fun. And yeah, thanks for being an amazing community. All of you assassin mains out there, and then maybe some of you that are just prospective assassin mains and thinking about other decks. Don't get discouraged by me being like a little bit low on Uzuri right now. I still think she's a really fun deck to play, a really decent deck to play, and if you put the time in, you can do really well on her. So don't give her up just because some random guy on YouTube said so. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put a cork in the brewing and just, you know, play what feels good on Sunday and not worry about it too much. If I lose, it's fine. Like realistically, I don't think I'm gonna make it to Pro Tour as a participant. I'm just gonna focus on side events and it's gonna be fine. So I am definitely going to the Pro Tour Amsterdam though. So if any of you want to like meet up in person, and you can make it to Amsterdam, definitely hit me up. I'm gonna try to get a little bit of like an assassin meet organized. We can do that. And yeah, let me know on either of the Discords if you're up for that. Yeah, that's cool. Nice. Yeah, you're qualified, right? For PT. Awesome. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, let's just all meet in Amsterdam. Like, whether we're, you know, qualified or not, doesn't matter. Just meet up, shoot the shit, have a couple drinks or something. All right. Gonna call it a night. See you guys in the next one. Have a good one. And keep playing Assassin. Keep being lovely. And goodbye.